Hey guys, this is Christopher from ChinaMobileMag.com and I'm having a look at the Xiaomi Redmi 1S, which is the successor or kind of an upgraded version of the Xiaomi Hongmi, which everyone familiar with Chinese phones should be aware of. Now Xiaomi have changed quite a bit inside the device. They are not using a MediaTek SoC anymore. Now a Snapdragon 400 SoC comes to use, and the camera has been upgraded. The design has not been changed by much, so let's just have a look at the phone and its accessories and see how it performs. Have fun! So at first, the usual look at the package contents and the packaging itself. So this is how it looks. The usual Xiaomi box made from recycled paper without much imprints, just the Mi logo on the top and some sticker with additional information regarding the device on the rear. Now pulling the box open is quite hard when no phone is inside. And inside of there we find an envelope which just contains one user manual and one warranty card, so nothing special in there. And below this envelope we find a micro USB cable, which is completely in black, and a wall charger for the phone and nothing else inside there. No screen protectors, no headphones and no bumpers, so this is not much. So let's continue with the phone itself. Now when looking at the Xiaomi Redmi 1S, it might be hard for you to tell it apart from the Xiaomi Hongmi, and yes, Xiaomi didn't change that much. We've got the white version of the phone, and here, as you can see, there is a metal frame around the device and the front is made from glass, and it's also completely in white. And here we see the phone call speaker, which also is made from metal. We see the front camera and some sensors on top of there. If you're looking for a status LED, yes, there's one, but not on the top. It's on the bottom below the home touch button. The touch buttons here, by the way, are not back illuminated, but they have the color red, so they are quite well visible. When looking at the side from the phone, we again see the metal frame, which is quite thick. On the left side there is nothing. On the lower side there is a micro USB port supporting OTG and one voice microphone. On the right side the on-off switch, the volume rocker. Both buttons have pretty nice pressure points and you can't press them by accident or something, so that's pretty nice. And on the top there is a 3.5mm headphone jack. When turning the phone around we see the white rear, which is made from plastic. Here we find an environmental microphone for the camera, the rear camera itself, the LED flash, the media speaker, which is placed here instead of the bottom, that's something unusual, and a Mi logo in orange metallic color. So it's looking pretty nice. Of course you can remove the rear, and this is going fairly easy, yet it holds on pretty strong. And now you can see the micro SD slot and two normal sized SIM card slots. So if you have a micro or nano SIM card, you need to use an adapter here, and this is the battery of the phone, which of course is replaceable. So all in all, I have to say this is a pretty nice build quality, but it's a bit thick. It's still over 1 centimeter like the original Hongmi, so well, it's probably a thing of taste if you liked it or not. I have to say that I like it because the phone is rather small with only 4.7 inches, and thus it feels quite nice to have a thicker phone, but that's just me. I don't know how you feel about that. So now, as I was able to show you the design of the phone, we continue with the screen, and here I have to say that it is a bit disappointing that Xiaomi didn't use an OGS panel here. You definitely notice that when being outside in the sun, and you especially notice it because the overall brightness is not that high, so you will have trouble seeing something outside. And also the viewing angles are by far not perfect because it is not an OGS panel, and probably also not a perfect IPS panel. It is an IPS screen, but not the best one. So that being said, let's continue with the other specs. The screen has, as I said, 4.7 inches and a resolution of 720p, and well, that's enough so that you don't see any pixels with the naked eye. Through the camera you might be able to see them. The quality of the screen is still pretty good. It has a nice color reproduction, shows a lot of details and so on, and as with all Xiaomi phones, you can of course configure the colors and saturation and everything here in the settings, so that's pretty nice. So it's a good screen, but by far not perfect, and we are used to better screens, especially in the lower mid-range phones category. Enough about the screen and design, let's talk about some hard facts about the performance of this phone. So let's first have a look at the Antutu benchmark, and here you will notice that the Snapdragon 400 isn't that much better than a MT65A2 processor or the MT6589T that has been used in the Xiaomi Hongmi. It only reached 16,414 points, and thus it is located between the original Xiaomi Hongmi and the Samsung Galaxy S3. So, well, in terms of CPU benchmarks, the Snapdragon 400 is a bit slower than the current MediaTek MT65A2, but in terms of graphics processing power, it definitely is a bit better because it has the better GPU, and this is something everyone can see when checking out the results of the 3DMark benchmark, because here the scores were pretty much higher than with any MediaTek SoC before. So let's have a look at this. It reached 4,290 points in the Unlimited benchmark, 2,760 points in the Ice Storm Extreme benchmark, and 5,146 in the Ice Storm benchmark. So that's pretty high. And let's see again how the phone performs in GFX bench, which is again a GPU benchmark. And here we also have a much higher score than with MediaTek chipsets, so let's wait for it to load. So as you can see here, the phone reached 1055 points, which is hell a lot more than the MT65A2 reaches. So as the last stop, let's have a look at Relay.mo, and here the phone reached 2736 points in the browser benchmark and 1093 points in the multi-core test and 871 points in the battle test. So that's about performance. You probably won't notice any differences between a MT65A2 and the Snapdragon 400 when doing everyday tasks like using the operating system, browsing the internet, using apps and so on. But during gaming or other GPU intensive tasks, you definitely will notice a huge difference between the MediaTek SoCs and this Snapdragon SoC. So now let's talk about multimedia performance, and here the Xiaomi Redmi 1S performs exceptionally well. HD videos are played perfectly smooth, and same applies to YouTube videos. And the audio quality of the internal media speaker is pretty much amazing. It's a lot better than the Xiaomi Mi 3, though not as perfect as the speaker of the Oppo Find 7 or the Vivo X Play 3S, for example, but it sounds pretty nice, very clear, extremely loud, and has a lot of bass playback, so it's fun listening to music or watching movies with this one, especially in this price range. This is pretty nice, and also the audio quality through the headphone jack is very good. So that being said, let's start a little audio demo through YouTube for you to verify my comment. Have fun! Let's talk about reception quality, and here the Xiaomi Redmi 1S unfortunately did disappoint me a lot. Well, it's a phone, so you should be able to do phone calls with it, and that's not possible with the Xiaomi Redmi 1S. Now you ask why? Well, the reason is that when using 2G or 3G in no matter which network, the reception always is breaking off. Now we have 4 bars, and well, sometimes it's just breaking off without any notice. I don't know if it is a hardware related problem or if this is just a software bug, so let's hope it's just a software bug and will be fixed anytime soon. Now you see the connection has broken off again, so this is happening all the time, and when you do a phone call, the connection of course is breaking off. So that's not just the bar that is jumping around here, it really is breaking off, so that's pretty much unusable. However, when it comes to Wi-Fi reception, the Xiaomi Redmi 1S is performing pretty well. I did not have any issues in the whole house and around the house. It always had a stable Wi-Fi signal. Also when it comes to Bluetooth, the phone performs pretty well. It gets around 18 to 20 meters of range under free view, so that's pretty good and pretty much the maximum Bluetooth can reach. And also GPS is working perfectly well, as we are used to from Qualcomm chipsets, so let's have a look at that. And here you can see 8 satellites, fixed for 8 satellites, and an accuracy of 3 meters under free sky, and inside the house in front of a window 7 satellites, 7 meters, and in the middle of the house without a window 8 satellites and 11 meters of accuracy, pretty good. And here you see a little weight tracking, and you see it stays on the road all the time, so it's pretty accurate and works perfectly well. So after I just had to give the Xiaomi Redmi 1S a grade F in terms of 2G and 3G reception, now we come to a topic where it surprised me again in a positive way, and that's the camera. It's amazing what a great camera Xiaomi has built inside the Xiaomi Redmi 1S for the price of just 160 bucks. It really is amazing. The camera creates great images with a great color reproduction, a lot of details, a good enough depth of field, and probably the most important thing for a lot of you, it does not create noisy images at all. There is a little noise inside, but you can barely notice that. And also when the brightness is going down, or if you are within very bad lighting conditions, it still creates good noise-free images, and this is something that I experience very seldom with Chinese phones. The internal LED flash, by the way, is also pretty good. It's of course not comparable to a real camera flash, but it's usable. And that being said, the video quality is also pretty good, also very nice colors and a lot of details and a very good quality both for the picture and for the audio, even though it only records videos with 720p. The front camera is also usable, even though not as good because of the low resolution of 2.1 megapixels and the missing autofocus, so it's usable for selfies, but they are definitely not the best pictures. The last category before we come to the final conclusion is of course the battery life of the phone, and here I have to say that this battery inside there is way too small for this phone. You ask, how can I say that? Usually Xiaomi phones have a very good battery life, but this is just not the case here. As you can see in standby it's fairly okay, but as soon as one starts using the phone it goes down like hell. And here you can see it again when I started the review. I can't zoom in there, but you can see it a bit. It goes down like a reverse rocket, so well, battery life is really bad, and I never reached more than 3/4 of a day of battery life. So that's very bad and pretty much again makes the phone unusable for everyone who doesn't have a power socket in reach all the time. So the reason for this is probably because it's always losing network connection and searches for the network again. So well, probably the battery life will get better once Xiaomi fixes this issue, if it is a software related problem. If it is a hardware related problem, Xiaomi has a problem because they can't fix that easily. So let's see how this will work out. For now, battery life and 2G, 3G reception unusable for this phone. Okay, and here's my final conclusion regarding the Xiaomi Redmi 1S, and I have to say it's potentially an amazing phone. It's looking quite nice, even though it's a bit thick. It's pretty small, so it can fit in every pocket, and it has a pretty good performance. It has a low price, the screen is okay, and the camera is amazing for the price. You really can replace a digital camera with that if you don't want to carry two devices around with you. But the very bad 2G and 3G reception and the very bad battery life makes it pretty much unusable. What do you want with a phone that does not last even a day and does not have any network reception for 2G and 3G? So that being said, it is up to you if you now want to purchase the Xiaomi Redmi 1S or not. Probably you should wait for Xiaomi to announce some bug fix for these annoying issues, and then everything is getting better. But maybe this is something that don't bothers you and you just want a pretty good camera inside your phone, inside your cheap phone, and then you of course can buy this phone. So our sponsor Trading Shenzhen is offering the phone for 160 euros, including DHL Express shipping and a large gadget package. But of course there are other shops as well where you might get it a bit cheaper. So just check out our written review that is being linked down there under the video. We have posted a lot of shops that offer the Xiaomi Redmi 1S as well inside of there. So that being said, I hope this video was helpful for you. If you did like it, please give a thumbs up, a comment, and maybe even subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, bye, and see you soon with a new review. Bye bye!